Welcome to all the participants today. I would like to give my presentation on outcomes of POPRC 11. And after my presentation, Gamingi will be giving a presentation on the outcomes of CRC 11. The 11th meeting of the POPs Review Committee took place in Rome, FAO headquarters from 19 to 23 October. The committee took 7 decisions and established 6 intersessional working groups. A letter requesting submission of information to the committee, which was dated 30 October 2015, was sent to all parties, and it's also posted on the website of the committee meeting. The 7 decisions are listed in this slide, and I will be highlighting the key points of each decision in my next slides. The first of the decisions was on decabromodiphenyl ether. The committee adopted the risk management evaluation document, which will be issued as UNEP POPS POPRC 11/10/add1, addendum to the meeting report shortly. The committee decided to recommend to the Conference of the Parties that it consider listing decabromodiphenyl ether of C-deca-BDE in Annex A to the Convention, with specific exemptions for some critical spare parts to be defined for the automotive and aerospace industries. In order to further strengthen the recommendation, the committee invited parties and observers, including from the automotive and aerospace industries, to provide information that would assist the further defining by the committee of such critical spare parts, and from the small and medium enterprises of the textile industry to provide information on the use of deca-BDE in the textile industry. The deadline for this information was 31st January 2016. An intersessional working group was established to assess the information with the intention of strengthening the recommendation to the COPs. The next decision was on dicofol. The committee deferred its decision on the draft risk profile for dicofol to the next meeting, and agreed that members who consider that additional information may be available shall submit to the committee such additional information by 11 December 2015. An intersessional working group was established to review and update the draft risk profile, taking into account the additional information provided by members. The draft risk profile will be presented for consideration at the next committee meeting. The third decision was on short-chain chlorinated paraffins. The committee adopted the risk profile, which will be set out in POPRC 11/10/add2, and decided that short-chain chlorinated paraffins are likely as a result of long-range environmental transport to lead to significant adverse human health and environmental effects, such that global action is warranted. An intersessional working group was established to prepare a draft risk management evaluation in accordance with Annex F to the Convention. Parties and observers are invited to submit the information specified in Annex F, and the deadline for submission is 11 December 2015. The committee reviewed the new proposal for listing chemical, which is pentadecafluorooctanoic acid, or PFOA, its salts, and PFOA-related compounds. The committee decided that it is satisfied that the screening criteria have been fulfilled for PFOA, pentadecafluorooctanoic acid. And committee established an intersessional working group to review the proposal further and to prepare a draft risk profile in accordance with Annex E. There was an extensive discussion on the extent to be covered under PFOA-related compounds, and as a result, the committee decided that issues related to the inclusion of PFOA-related compounds that potentially degrade to PFOA and PFOS salts should be dealt with in developing the draft risk profile. So this will be considered at the next meeting. Parties and observers are invited to submit the information specified in Annex E by 11 December 2015 for the following substances. So to facilitate the submission of information, the committee specified the substances that will fall under the Annex E information submission, and those are pentadecafluorooctanoic acid with CAS number listed here, and substances having a perfluoroalkyl group with the formula listed here as one of its structural elements that potentially degrade to PFOA, but not including PFOS itself and PFOS-F already listed in Annex B. Another decision taken by the committee was on unintentional releases of hexachlorobutadiene. This chemical was listed at the 7th meeting of the Conference of Parties in Annex A, and in addition, the COP requested the POPRC, the committee, to further evaluate hexachlorobutadiene on the basis of the newly available information in relation to its listing in Annex C, and to make a recommendation on listing in Annex C for further consideration at the 8th meeting. So the committee established an intersessional working group to undertake those activities and requested the Secretariat to collect from parties and observers additional information that would assist the further evaluation by the committee. So the list of types of information to be collected is included in the letter sent out on 30 October. And the submission is by 15 January 2016. Another decision taken was on guidance on alternatives to PFOS, its salts, PFOS-F, and their related chemicals. The committee was requested by the Conference of the Parties to revise the existing guidance and to submit it to 8th meeting. So in order to undertake this activity, the committee agreed on the proposal for revision of the existing guidance document to incorporate other information from documents or studies already developed by the committee, and established an intersessional working group to prepare the revised version for consideration at the 12th meeting. Parties and observers are invited to submit information that could be used in preparing a revised guidance, and the deadline for the submission was 8 January 2016. Also, in order to revise the guidance document, the Secretariat was requested to commission a consultancy for preparing the draft revised guidance document, and the committee invited parties and observers in a position to do so to provide financial support for this activity. The last decision taken by the committee was on effective participation in the work of the POPRC committee. The Secretariat was invited to continue its activities related to supporting effective participation in the work of the committee, including the following: webinars, training and online meetings on topics related to the work of the committee, workshops and other face-to-face activities to build the capacities of parties and of training of trainers activities, pilot projects to stimulate the active involvement of different stakeholders, and tools to facilitate the sharing of information and resources. Regional centers were invited to play an active role in providing such assistance. So I would like to sum up the intersessional working groups established at the 11th meeting. The first is on deca-bromodiphenyl ester. The group is to assess the information, including from the automotive and aerospace industries and from the small and medium enterprises of the textile industry, to strengthen the recommendation on the listing of the chemical, which will be forwarded to the Conference of the Parties at the 8th meeting for its consideration. For dicofol, an intersessional working group is to revise the draft risk profile based on the additional information to be provided by members. And then for short-chain chlorinated paraffins, an intersessional working group is to develop a draft risk management evaluation. For PFOA, salts and PFOA-related compounds, an intersessional working group is to prepare a draft risk profile for those chemicals. PFOS, salts, PFOS-F and their related chemicals, an intersessional working group is to prepare a revised draft guidance on alternatives to those chemicals. The last intersessional working group is on hexachlorobutadiene. The group is to further evaluate hexachlorobutadiene on the basis of the newly available information and make a recommendation in relation to its listing in Annex C. The letter sent out on 30 October included several requests for information. Decabromodiphenyl ESA was related to the critical spare parts of aerospace industries and automotive industries, and also information on the use of DecaBD in the textile industry. This should be submitted by 31st January 2016. The dicofol was not included in the letter, but the members who consider that additional information may be available should submit the information by 11 December 2015. For short-chain chlorinated paraffins and PFOA, salts and PFOA-related compounds, the information specified in Annex F and Annex E, respectively, is to be submitted by 11 December 2015. The information on alternatives to PFOS, salts, and PFOS-F can be submitted by 8 January 2016, and hexachlorobutadiene, the information related to unintentional releases, is to be submitted by 15 January 2016. So this was the overview of the outcomes of POPRC 11, and I would like to now hand over to Gamini to present outcomes of CRC 11.
Thank you, Kay. The Chemical Review Committee of the Rotterdam Convention was held back-to-back with the POPRC starting from 16th and ended on the 28th October 2015 at the same venue, FAO headquarters in Rome. With respect to Chemical Review Committee, there were 4 decisions made during this meeting, which are related to short-chain chlorinated paraffins, tributyltin, carbofuran, and carbosulfan. For short-chain chlorinated paraffins, at the last CRC, by decision CRC/4, the committee recommended to the COPs that it should list short-chain chlorinated paraffin in Annex 3 to the convention as industrial chemicals, and decided to develop a draft decision guidance document. So during this meeting, the committee adopted the draft decision guidance document for SEC, short-chain chlorinated paraffins, and decided to forward it together with the related tabular summary of comments to the COP, along with the decision by CRC 10 to list the chemical. Then on tributyltin compounds, it is similar to short-chain chlorinated paraffins. At the last CRC, the committee decided to list tributyltin compounds in Annex 3 of the convention as industrial chemicals. As you may recall, these tributyltin compounds are already listed in Annex 3 as pesticides. During this meeting, the committee adopted the draft decision guidance documents for tributyltin and decided to forward again to the COPs together with the related tabular summary of comments, and a note on the rationale for committee's recommendation at CRC 10 to the COP in relation to its industrial chemical category. On carbofuran, there were final regulatory actions reviewed, submitted by European Union, Canada, and Sahelian countries of the African region. Committee reviewed these notifications and decided that those notifications meet the criteria set out in Annex 2 to the Convention, and recommended that the COP should list carbofuran in Annex 3 as a pesticide. The committee also decided to prepare a draft decision guidance document for carbofuran and during the intersessional period. For carbosulfan, which was notified by European Union and the Sahelian group of countries, committee reviewed these final regulatory actions and decided that those notifications meet the criteria set out in Annex 2. Similarly, committee recommended that the COP should list carbosulfan in Annex 3 as a pesticide, and decided to prepare the draft decision guidance document for this chemical. For atrazine, there were notifications from the European Union and the Sahelian countries, but the committee could not decide that both notifications meet the criteria in Annex 2, and therefore the decision for listing this chemical was deferred to CRC 12, that is the next meeting of the committee. For dimethoate emulsifiable concentrate 400 grams per liter as a severely hazardous pesticide formulation, a proposal made by Georgia, sorry. The committee could not decide that it meet the criteria of Annex 4, and therefore it did not proceed beyond this stage. Accordingly, there were two intersessional drafting groups were established, one on carbofuran and the other one on carbosulfan, to prepare draft decision guidance documents to be considered at the next meeting. So that concludes the work of the Chemical Review Committee.